Tomorrow isn't just another Sunday, it's the moment when every confusing, chaotic, exhausting experience you've had this month suddenly clicks into place. And I'm not talking about some vague spiritual shift that you might notice if you're paying attention. I'm talking about 3 specific areas of your life where the fog lifts completely, where the pieces finally fit together, where everything that felt impossible to understand suddenly becomes crystal clear. March has been a battlefield. If you felt like you're drowning in confusion, if your routines have completely fallen apart, if you've been questioning everything about your path, you're not losing your mind. You've been living through one of the most intense astrological crucibles we've seen in years. But here's what most people don't realize. All of that chaos wasn't random. It was preparation. Tomorrow, Sunday, March 29th, the moon enters Virgo, and when it does, it's going to cut through the confusion like a laser beam through fog. The mental static clears, the emotional overwhelm settles, and for the first time in weeks, you're going to see your life with a clarity that makes you wonder how you ever missed it before. A line in the sand. Everything before tomorrow and everything after, they won't be the same. Because when this Virgo moon hits, it's bringing with it the answer to a question you didn't even know how to ask. And if you've been feeling this strange pull toward organization, toward fixing things, toward finally dealing with what you've been avoiding, keep watching. Because there's one specific reason why this is happening to you right now, and I will explain it later, so stay tuned. But first you need to understand why the last few weeks have felt like you're living in a different reality, because what's been happening to you, it's not in your head, it's been very, very real. The chaos you've been swimming through. Let's be honest about what March has done to you. This month didn't just ask you to change, it forced you. It started violently, with a total lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd. Not just any eclipse, but one sitting directly on the south node, the karmic point of release. Translation. Everything that wasn't working, every coping mechanism that had outlived its purpose, every false sense of security you'd built, it got ripped away. And if you felt like your life was falling apart in the first week of March, that's because it was. The eclipse exposed the cracks in your foundation. The routines that used to hold you together suddenly felt suffocating. The relationships that seemed stable started showing their fault lines. Your body, your energy, your mental clarity, all of it took a hit. But that was just the beginning, because at the exact same time, Mercury went retrograde in Pisces. Mercury, the planet that governs how you think, how you communicate, how you process information, it started moving backward through the most confusing, boundary-dissolving sign in the zodiac. Logic stopped working. Plans fell apart. Conversations became a minefield of misunderstandings. You couldn't trust your thoughts because they kept shifting like water. You couldn't make decisions because nothing felt solid enough to stand on. And every time you tried to organize your way out of the chaos, it just created more confusion. That's what happens when the planet of the mind goes retrograde in a sign that has no interest in structure, order, or clarity. And then Mars entered Pisces too. Mars, the planet of action and drive, suddenly lost its fire. Your motivation evaporated. Your energy felt scattered. You knew you should be moving forward, but you couldn't figure out which direction to move in. It was like trying to run through water. Every step forward felt exhausting, and you weren't even sure you were getting anywhere. This has been the theme of March: confusion, dissolution, uncertainty, and it's been relentless. But here's what nobody told you. This wasn't a punishment. This was a purge. Everything that's been stripped away, everything that's fallen apart, everything that's left you feeling lost, it all had to go, because what's coming next requires a completely clean slate. Why tomorrow changes everything. March 29th. The moon crosses the threshold from Leo into Virgo at 3:30 in the afternoon, and the moment it does, everything shifts. Virgo is the sign of clarity, organization, discernment, and practical wisdom. It's the energy that looks at chaos and says, okay, let's break this down into manageable pieces. But this isn't just any Virgo moon. This is the Virgo moon that arrives after weeks of Piscean confusion. This is the moon that enters after the eclipse purge, after the Mercury retrograde mind fog, after the Aries equinox reset. This is the moon that arrives right after the Saturn-Pluto sextile on March 28th, locked in the new structures. Think of it like this: March has been a tornado ripping through your life, tearing apart everything that wasn't built on solid ground. And tomorrow, the storm finally stops. The dust settles. And when you open your eyes, you're standing in a completely cleared landscape. Nothing is blocking your view anymore. You can see everything. The Virgo moon doesn't just bring emotional stability, it brings mental precision. It's the energy that takes all the abstract, overwhelming feelings you've been drowning in and translates them into concrete, actionable understanding. The things that felt impossible to grasp suddenly become obvious. The patterns you couldn't see suddenly stand out in sharp relief. And here's where it gets really powerful. This Virgo moon is arriving exactly when your nervous system is finally ready to receive clarity. Your body has been recalibrated. Your mind has been cleared of old programming. Your emotional field has been purged of what doesn't serve you. You're not the same person you were at the beginning of March, and because you've changed, you can finally see what was always there, but you were too clouded to recognize. Tomorrow, 3 specific things about your life are going to suddenly make complete sense. Not vague spiritual insights, actual tangible clarity about real issues you've been struggling with. And the first one has to do with something you experience every single day. Your body was trying to tell you something. For weeks, maybe even months, something has been off with your physical body. Maybe it's exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Maybe it's tension that won't release no matter how much you stretch. Maybe it's digestive issues, headaches, or this constant feeling of being drained. You've tried to push through it. You've tried to optimize it away with supplements, better sleep schedules, productivity hacks. But nothing worked, and tomorrow you're going to understand exactly why, because the Virgo moon is going to give you X-ray vision into your own nervous system. And what you're going to see is this: your body wasn't malfunctioning. It was protecting you. Every symptom, every breakdown, every moment of physical collapse, it was your body's way of forcing you to stop overgiving, to stop pushing past your limits, to stop running on fumes and pretending it was sustainable. The eclipse on March 3rd exposed how unsustainable your old routines were, but your mind didn't want to listen, so your body had to scream louder. Tomorrow, when the moon enters Virgo, all of that suddenly makes sense. You'll have this flash of clarity where you realize, oh, I wasn't lazy, I wasn't weak, I was being forced to stop so I could rebuild from scratch. And with that understanding comes something even more powerful. You'll know exactly what your body needs now. Not what you think it should need, not what wellness culture tells you it needs, what it actually needs. Maybe it's more rest, maybe it's movement, maybe it's saying no to commitments that drain you, maybe it's a complete restructuring of your daily routine. Whatever it is, tomorrow it becomes obvious. And here's the incredible part. The Saturn-Pluto sextile that locked in yesterday gives you the discipline to actually implement these changes. Saturn provides the structure, Pluto provides the transformational power, and the Virgo moon provides the precise blueprint. You're not just understanding what needs to change, you're being given the cosmic support to make it happen. Your body is about to become your greatest ally instead of your greatest obstacle, and once you align with what it's been trying to tell you, your energy levels, your mental clarity, even your emotional stability, all of it shifts. Because when your physical foundation is solid, everything else can build on top of it. But physical health is just the first revelation, because the second thing that's about to make sense tomorrow goes even deeper. It has to do with why March felt so chaotic in the first place. You were never supposed to control it. Let's talk about control, specifically your need for it, because if you're reading this, if you're attuned to energy, if you're spiritually aware, there's a high chance you're also someone who tries to control outcomes, who plans ahead, who needs to know what's coming, who struggles when life refuses to follow the script. And March has been your worst nightmare. Nothing went according to plan. Every time you thought you had a handle on things, the rug got pulled out from under you. The eclipse disrupted your routines. Mercury retrograde scrambled your communication. The Pisces stellium dissolved your boundaries. You kept trying to grip the steering wheel tighter, and the car kept hydroplaning anyway. It's been exhausting and confusing because you've been doing everything right. You've been setting intentions, doing your shadow work, trying to stay positive. But nothing stuck, nothing landed. And the harder you tried to force things into order, the more chaotic they became. Tomorrow, the Virgo moon is going to show you exactly why, and it's going to feel like a weight lifting off your chest because you're going to realize the chaos wasn't happening to you. It was happening for you. Every moment of confusion, every plan that fell apart, every loss of control, it was the universe breaking your addiction to micromanagement. Virgo, at its lowest expression, is the sign of perfectionism, of needing everything to be flawless, of believing that if you just analyze it enough, plan it enough, control it enough, you can avoid pain. But that's not how life works. And the eclipse on March 3rd, sitting on the Virgo South Node, was specifically designed to purge that shadow behavior. You've been learning the difference between healthy discernment and toxic perfectionism, between practical planning and obsessive controlling, between self-discipline and self-punishment. And tomorrow, when the moon returns to Virgo, but this time without the eclipse, without the retrograde, without the chaos, you finally integrate the lesson. You realize you don't need to have the entire 10-year plan figured out. You just need to take the next right step. You don't need to control other people's reactions. You just need to honor your own boundaries. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. And here's what makes this so powerful. The moment you stop trying to control everything is the moment you actually gain control over what matters. Your energy, your choices, your response to life. Tomorrow, you're going to feel this shift in your bones. That constant anxiety about whether you're doing enough, whether you're good enough, whether you've planned enough. It quiets. Because you're not abandoning responsibility, you're abandoning the illusion that you were ever supposed to carry the weight of controlling uncontrollable outcomes. That burden was never yours to carry, and the chaos of March was designed to show you that the hard way. But there's one more thing that's about to make sense tomorrow, and this one might be the most important because it has to do with the people in your life. You finally see who's actually with you. Relationships, friendships, work dynamics, family patterns. If there's been chaos anywhere this month, it's been here. People you thought you could count on suddenly felt distant. Connections you thought were solid started showing cracks. And maybe some relationships that you'd been clinging to out of obligation or guilt finally fell apart completely. This wasn't random. Venus, the planet of relationships and values, has been on a journey this month. She moved through Aries, the sign of independence and self-assertion, and she made some intense contacts. She conjuncted Neptune, exposing illusions in relationships, Saturn, testing the durability of connections, and Chiron, triggering old wounds about worthiness. Every relationship in your life got pressure tested. And tomorrow, when the Virgo moon arrives, you're going to see the results of that test with perfect clarity. You're going to know without a doubt who's actually aligned with your path and who was just filling space, not based on what you want to be true, based on what is true. The Virgo moon asks a ruthlessly practical question. Does this relationship actually function in a healthy, reciprocal way in the real world? Not in theory, not in potential, not in the fantasy of who this person could become, in reality, right now. And tomorrow, you're going to see it. The mixed signals will suddenly seem clear, the imbalanced dynamics will become obvious, the one-sided investments will stand out in sharp relief. But here's the thing, this isn't about judgment, it's about discernment. It's about finally being honest with yourself about where your energy is going and what you're getting in return. You might realize that the friend who always needs your support but is never there when you need them, that's not reciprocity, that's depletion. The romantic relationship where you're constantly trying to prove your worth, that's not love, that's insecurity. The work environment that demands your everything but gives you scraps. That's not a career. That's exploitation. Tomorrow, these truths don't hurt the way they used to, because the Virgo moon doesn't deliver clarity with emotional drama. It delivers it with cool, analytical precision. It's like putting on glasses for the first time and realizing, oh, everything was blurry before and I didn't even know it. And here's what makes this particularly powerful. Venus enters Taurus on March 30th, the very next day. Venus in her home sign. Venus at her strongest. Venus bringing in stable, reciprocal, nourishing connections. But she can only bring in the new if you've cleared out the old, if you've released the relationships that were draining you, if you've stopped settling for less than you deserve. The clarity you gain tomorrow about your relationships isn't the end, it's the beginning, because once you see who's truly aligned with you, you can invest your energy there. You can deepen those connections, you can build something real. And the people who aren't aligned, they fall away naturally without drama, without guilt. Because you finally understand that holding on to misaligned relationships doesn't serve anyone. The gift waiting on the other side, Venus enters Taurus. Here's what most people don't realize. The universe doesn't just tear things down, it replaces them with something better. And tomorrow's Virgo moon clarity is immediately followed by one of the most beautiful transits of the year. On March 30th, Venus enters Taurus, her home sign, the sign where she operates with maximum power, grace, and abundance. If Venus in Aries was about fighting for your worth, Venus in Taurus is about embodying it. If Aries was about independence, Taurus is about stability. If Aries was about testing, Taurus is about enjoying. The moment Venus crosses into Taurus, the frantic energy of March finally completely settles. Your nervous system exhales. The ground beneath your feet solidifies, and the practical steps, the health changes, the relationship boundaries you clarified on March 29th, they become infused with a powerful desire for long-term sustainability and comfort. This is when the new routines you implement don't feel like deprivation, they feel like self-love. This is when the boundaries you set don't feel like walls, they feel like protection. This is when walking away from what doesn't serve you doesn't feel like loss, it feels like liberation. Venus in Taurus is the cosmic reward for making it through March. It's the universe saying, you did the work, you faced the chaos, you integrated the lessons, now enjoy the fruits. And those fruits are tangible. Better health, clearer relationships, more aligned work, financial stability, physical pleasure, peace. The energy shifts from survive the transformation to savor the stability. And because you've done the inner work, because you've cleared out what wasn't working, you have space to receive what is working. New opportunities that actually align with your values, relationships that give as much as they take, a daily rhythm that nourishes instead of depletes. This is what makes the Virgo moon on March 29th so crucial. It's not just about understanding your life, it's about positioning yourself to receive what comes next. And what comes next is beautiful, grounded, and real. What to do with this clarity? Tomorrow, when these three revelations hit you, don't just acknowledge them and move on, act on them. The Virgo moon isn't about passive awareness, it's about practical implementation. So here's what you do. For your body, write down exactly what your physical system needs, not what you think it should need, what it's actually asking for. Rest, movement, nourishment, boundaries around your time, then implement it. Tomorrow, not next week. The Saturn-Pluto support is active right now. Use it. For your perfectionism, make one decision without overthinking it. Just one. Trust your gut. Take the next step without needing to see the entire staircase. Practice the art of good enough instead of perfect. Watch how liberating it feels. For your relationships, have that conversation you've been avoiding. Set that boundary you've been too scared to set, or simply step back from the relationship that's been draining you. You don't need to make it dramatic. Just create space. Let the clarity speak for itself. The Virgo moon gives you the blueprint, but you have to pick up the tools and build. And the beautiful thing is, you're finally ready. You've been stripped down, rebuilt, and recalibrated. The fog has lifted. The path is clear. And here's the part that makes all of this worth it. When you wake up on March 31st, you're going to feel different, not because something external changed, but because you changed. The confusion that defined March is gone, the chaos has settled, and in its place is something you haven't felt in a long time: clarity, direction, purpose, peace. March didn't break you. It refined you. It stripped away everything that wasn't essential so you could finally see what is. And tomorrow, Sunday, March 29th, when the Virgo moon cuts through the last of the fog, you're going to understand exactly why you had to go through all of it. The three things that suddenly make sense: your body's messages, the illusion of control, and the truth about your relationships. These aren't just insights. They're keys. Keys to a completely different way of living. A way that's aligned with who you actually are instead of who you thought you had to be. So tomorrow, pay attention, notice the clarity when it arrives, trust the insights when they land, and most importantly, act on them. Because this kind of cosmic support doesn't come around often. The fog has lifted, the path is clear. All you have to do now is walk it. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.